is SMNI News Channel. Truth that matters.
Good evening and welcome to SMNI. You're watching Business and Politics. I'm your host, Dante Klink. Our guest tonight is the new President and CEO of Clark International Airport Corporation, or CIAC. Aray Ancheta Perez assumed this new role in September. Not long after we interviewed his predecessor, is now the president of another government-owned and controlled corporation, the Basis Conversion and Development Authority, or BCDA. Mr. Perez himself came from BCDA, where he had a long career that ended with him as Senior Vice President for Corporate Services. While there, he was involved in the master planning of Bonifacio Global City, McKinley Hills, Newport City, Acitex, and other projects. Moreover, he directly managed world-class sports facilities at the new Clark City and promoted Camp John Hay in Baguio and PowerPoint in La Union. He is a certified public accountant, a licensed real estate broker, and certified financial consultant of the International Finance Corporation, and he has a master's degree in public administration and a postgraduate diploma in urban and regional planning from the University of the Philippines. Lastly, he completed an executive training program on public-private partnerships at the Harvard Kennedy School. His main preoccupation now is leading the transformation of the Clark International Airport as the country's main gateway and logistics hub. That will be our main topic for tonight. We will ask Mr. Perez, why is Clark important to national development, and how can we realize its full potential? Mr. Aray Perez, welcome to Business and Politics. Thank you for making time.
Thank you. Thank you, Dante.
I know you're still jet lagged from your trip to ICAO in Montreal. I'll get to that in a minute, but I'm just curious. You're new to CIAC. So what got you here from BCDA?
Well, I got an opportunity to be invited to serve in a different capacity.
Yeah.
I've been with the BCDA, or the Basis Conversion.
You had a long career there, successful in a time.
Yes,
right?
almost 2 decades.
Yeah.
And so I was asked, to serve in a different capacity. Now, I got an offer which is hard to refuse.
Okay.
Serving a subsidiary of the Basis Conversion and Development Authority, which is CIAC.
Right.
So there, I guess I know the plans for Clark coming from a top view, because BCDA is the mother company of Clark International Airport. And I was excited with all the prospects, so I accepted the challenge.
Right. So your predecessor is now the president of BCDA, and BCDA sits on the board of CIAC. Maybe for those who don't know, maybe you can explain, as you said, maybe explain the relationship. You're saying subsidiary, but maybe if you can expound on that.
Yeah. And the President Jake, who used to be the Clark International Airport Corporation president, he was my colleague in the BCDA.
Yeah.
Now, the Basis Conversion and Development Authority is mandated to transform or convert all these former U.S. military bases, such as Subic, Clark, John Hay in Baguio, PowerPoint in La Union.
Yeah.
And then there are former military installations in the Philippines, such as the Fort Bonifacio, which is now BGC.
Yeah.
So its mandate is to transform them into economic growth centers.
Right.
That's in the law, or which is Republic Act 7227.
Okay.
Now, in each of these assets, big assets that under the law are supposed to be converted into economic growth centers, different corporations or arms were created
Okay.
to become the the implementing, estate managers of the BCDA in developing these assets.
Okay.
So in Clark, there are two corporations.
All right.
The other one is Clark Development Corporation, and us, the Clark International Airport
And you're
Corporation.
focused solely on the airport and the, what do you call that?
The Clark Civil Aviation Complex.
This Clark Civil,
Yes.
Civil Aviation
So,
Complex, yeah.
as a subsidiary of the BCDA, now the BCDA gives us policy directions.
Right.
And then SEAC, uses these policies to come up with plans and programs to enhance, develop the Clark Civil Aviation Complex.
Right. So the last time we interviewed Jake, he was also trying to explain the role of LIPAD, which is the private contractor managing the airport itself. Maybe you can also explain what is the relationship between LIPAD and SEAC, and where do you cooperate in that area?
Yeah, first is you gotta see the scale of the property that SEAC is managing as an asset. The Clark Civil Aviation Complex is about 2,367 hectares.
Okay. So way beyond the airport facility itself, right?
Exactly. That's what's about to go to, because the airport, which is being operated by LIPAD, is just about 30% of that.
Okay.
Which is about 759 hectares.
So mainly airport operations.
Yeah. So huge parcels of land outside of the airport are, a big estate that can be transformed to support the operations of the airport.
Right.
So LIPAD as a private entity runs the airport.
Right.
Now SEAC as the manager of the Clark Civil Aviation Complex ensures that the airport is run properly as the arm of the Department of Transportation in conducting oversight.
Right.
Regulating.
Over LIPAD. Yep.
Yeah, over LIPAD.
Yeah.
And SEAC's role is to, have civil aviation activities, services that support the airport.
Right. And again, just to refresh the memory of those maybe who didn't see the interview with Jake, LIPAD is a consortium made up of Philippine companies and also a group representing Changi Airport in Singapore, right?
Yeah. There are 4 members of the consortium. You've got the Philinvest Land Inc. Then you have the JG Summit Holdings Inc. There's PAGs, or cargo handler, baggage handlers.
Yeah.
And the Singaporean operator of the Jewels, their airports, which is Changi Airports.
So is the aspiration that maybe since LIPAD is managing the Clark International Airport, that maybe our Clark Airport will be as beautiful as the Changi Airport in Singapore? Is that the vision?
It is the vision. When BCDA, when I was part of BCDA.
When you negotiated that, yeah?
Yes, when we crafted the terms of reference for the privatization of the airport, the new terminal building, we made sure that there's going to be an expertise coming from world-renowned operators, coming from the best in the world to operate, to handle the operations of the airport.
Right. And so, and if I understand correctly, and I think we may have mentioned this with Jake, CDC is like the city hall, is that correct? Of the area. And so when you are an entity within the area of just jurisdiction of CDC, is that how it should be described, or what's the relationship?
The Clark Special Economic and Freeport Zone is being the estate manager of that place, or should we say the local government unit of that place.
It's like the city hall.
The city hall is the Clark Development Corporation.
Right, I see.
They're deputized to handle safety and security.
Right.
They were deputized to issue permits and building permits by the DPWH. So many things that a city hall would do is being performed by the Clark Development Corporation.
Right. So give us an update on the airport. We've been hearing about all these things about revenge travel, and we see it in Clark as well. There are new airlines flying there. The capacity, as I understand it from our board meetings, I should remind our audience that I sit on the board of SEAC as well. But from I understand from our meetings, it seems like it's doing very well. But maybe you can give us a more updated status.
Yeah. Lipad is doing well in managing the airport.
Right.
They're performing according to the standards set in the operations and maintenance contract. The total capacity of the airport is at 8 million passengers per annum, and for this year, we've targeted at least 2 million passengers per annum as our contribution to as in the country for taking care of passengers. So we're almost there. We're going to hit that target as reported by Lipad. So we're very happy with what they're doing there in the airport right now. We also have cargo handlers, and they're happy with our services. In fact, there are some discussions of expansions by some MROs or cargo handling companies that are already located in NAIA that intend to move to Clark. And also those existing ones, like FedEx, I don't know if I'm able to already announce this.
I know that there were some negotiations going on.
There are some discussions for them to expand their operations in Clark.
Okay.
So those are good things that news that we hear from our operator.
Right. So I think the last time we talked about Clark on this program, there were I think still plans of Cebu Pacific starting. It's already started, right? And I think since then, a couple of new airlines have started foreign airlines have started flying to Clark. Are there any other talks going on that maybe not yet finalized, but maybe in the pipeline that we will see maybe in the next 12 months or so? What's anything exciting?
Yeah, Lipad and SIAC are very busy in attracting airlines.
Okay.
Yeah, there are a lot of airlines that we are in deep deep discussions.
Yeah. Do you think maybe the better question is, do you think it will replace Manila, or do you think it will be a complementary airport to Manila? What's the plan?
It is a complementary airport.
Okay.
In fact, in its circulars or orders that are issued by the executive, the president of the Philippines, and in other various executive orders, we are primed to be the alternative gateway of the Philippines.
Okay.
So that is our role.
Right.
We're not here to compete with Metro Manila.
Okay.
In fact, when
it's a big enough pie.
It is big enough pie.
Yeah.
If you look at our competitiveness, not among the airports in the Philippines, but among the countries in Southeast Asia, we're far behind in it comes of accommodating passengers. Right? So you can look at the statistics on tourism.
Yeah.
So that alone, I guess, would say we don't have enough capacity to attract passengers, tourists.
Right.
So we have. It's not just about the airports as well. But those are our gateways, the primary gateways when we have tourists.
Right.
So they have to be run properly.
Sure.
They have to. That's their first experience of our country.
Sure.
So they have to be built in a nice way. That's why there's a privatization going on in NAIA. There's a rehabilitation. I think there's a public bidding that's going to happen. And we all know that. We've seen that in the news, and it's going to happen.
Right.
Once that is awarded, that contract for the rehabilitation of the NAIA happens, where are all these passengers going?
They have to go to Clark. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So, again, we're here to support.
Right.
We're here to support. We are ready to accommodate the influx of passengers from the capital all the way to Clark.
Wow. Well, very, very interesting. We just have to take a quick break, Ari, if you don't mind me calling it that.
Yeah.
We'll be right back with Business and Politics. We're talking to Ray Perez, the new president and CEO of Clark Airport.
We're glad you found SMNI News. If you subscribe to TV programs that help build the nation, then we got you covered. Watch your favorite TV shows through GSAT TV Channel 40, Signal TV Channel 186. And if you are a Sky Cable subscriber, you can watch SMNI in National Capital Region, Sky Cable Channel 162, Cebu Sky Cable Channel 37, Davao City, Sky Cable Channel 14, 43, and 46. General Santos City, Sky Cable Channel 37. Zamboanga, Sky Cable Channel 53. Bacolod, Sky Cable Channel 37. Iloilo, Sky Cable Channel 36. Dumaguete, Sky Cable Channel 37. Baguio, Sky Cable Channel 14. And Lawag, Sky Cable Channel 10. You may also watch SMNI on digital TV in Davao City and Manila, and also in TV Plus and GMA Afford the Box, and over 500 cable TV affiliates nationwide. Watch SMNI on digital channels in Mega Manila, Channel 39 and 43. We are also on Analog TV in Lawag, Channel 35, Isabela, Channel 37, Vegan, Channel 38, Rojas, Channel 39, Butuan, Channel 39, and Davao, Channel 43. If you're on your mobile phone, download SMNI app or visit smni.com to get the latest news, updates, and more. Also, browse through the day's top stories and receive notifications for breaking news. Watch us live on our official Facebook and Rumble accounts, and you can also follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, so you don't miss out on our extra minute segments. Wherever you decide to watch, we're glad you choose SMNI News, the home of nation builders who bravely bring truth that matters.
Welcome back to Business and Politics. We're talking to Mr. Aray Perez, the new president and CEO of Clark International Airport Corporation. All right, you just got back from a foreign trip. I heard you went to the headquarters of ICAO, the International Civil Aeronautics Organization, the UN agency looking after aviation worldwide, in Montreal. What was the purpose of the trip? Were you trying to sell the Philippines, or were you negotiating some deal for the country?
Yeah, that's a three-city Canada tour.
Okay.
First, we went to Vancouver.
Okay.
Then to Montreal, and then eventually to Toronto.
Okay.
The purpose of that visit is to join the Trade Commission of Canada, to make sure Trade Commission of Canada in the Philippines, to bring in investors from Canada to the Philippines.
Fantastic.
And I've chosen Clark because of the programs that we have gathered together as something that's very interesting for Canadian companies.
I see.
So we were together with the Asian Development Bank,
Okay.
and the Public-Private Partnership Center.
Okay.
So together, we were able to present our plans for the country. The huge PPP projects, a large number of them are with the Department of Transportation, including that is the Clark International Airport Corporation's flagship projects.
Correct.
So we were there to talk to the various investors, and then talk to a sector in Montreal which is handling aviation industry, and that company is Aero Montreal.
Aero Montreal. Okay.
Yeah. And Aero Montreal is a big sector which handles manufacturing of planes,
Oh wow.
parts, including defense, security, also training, pilots and many other things. So we saw that as an opportunity for us to attract them, to locate, or to have a business with the Clark International Airport Corporation for Clark. And they were impressed with our transparency and the way we've presented our plans, and they're impressed in a way that they told us that the plans are laid out carefully and we know what we're doing.
Right.
So they're quite interested in signing an agreement with us where we could explore opportunities for the different corporations under their sector of the sector of Aero Montreal. And among them is about bringing in labor from the Philippines, laborers from the Philippines, because Canada, specifically in Montreal,
They need
a lot of people,
Yeah.
highly skilled people for their expansions. They're growing immensely. They're number 3 in the world in terms of aviation. But they cannot expand because they lack people.
Yeah.
They lack labor.
Yeah.
So what we've discussed is that we, SEAC, and through SEAC, the Philippines can help Canada in bringing in that required skill sets in Montreal.
Right. And then at the same time, as you said, they're going to invest.
They're going to invest
in Clark. Yeah.
training facilities, and not just that. There are certain corporations or industries within that Aero Montreal, which
Right.
handles a big sector,
Right.
to be able to move some of their production, their manufacturing sites in Clark.
I see. Fantastic. So this is under negotiation. When do you think this will be finalized, and when can you expect to make a formal announcement about this deal? Is it going to be 2024, or does it take longer than that, or what's your expectation?
We already have a set date for signing that memorandum of agreement.
Fantastic.
It's gonna be in May.
In May
Yeah.
of 2024.
In 2024, May of next year. Now, what's going on for us is that the good thing is that the Trade Commissioner of Canada is helping us out
Fantastic.
in finalizing this agreement with them, with Montreal, Aero Montreal. So there's a big celebration that's happening between Canada and the Philippines by next year. I'm not sure about the specific period, but we are going to celebrate our economic partnership. The partnership between Philippines and Canada. I'm not sure whether it's the 75th anniversary. So it's going to be a great way to celebrate that by having another economic contract, which could be witnessed maybe by the president of our country.
Yeah, not many people know this, but Philippines and Canada, they have a long relationship. The very first investors in the Philippines or Canadian. I know not many people know this. Sun Life, which is a Canadian insurance company, was here in 1898, even before the First Republic. So, and I think operated throughout even the Japanese occupation period. So, very interesting history. Were there any talks about, or maybe anything exploratory about Canadian Airlines, Air Canada flying to the Philippines? Is that something that came up at all during your talks? Or?
Yeah, that's right. We were there, and we were there to convince the airlines to
fly here. Okay.
And
because there are, I don't know, like maybe 300,000 or so Filipinos now in Canada. There are a lot of Filipinos immigrating there despite the cold weather.
So we heard. When we were in Toronto alone, there's so many Filipinos that welcome us.
Yeah. I used to work there with the Philippine consulate in Toronto. That's how I know. So, but Canada has been a very open country for Filipino immigrants. But I want to go back to your plans, because what caught my attention when we first met was your vision, really, to go back to the original intent of making Clark it's beyond the airport, but you want to make it into a logistics hub.
Yeah.
Right? Can you expound on that? Or what is the plan of making it a logistics hub?
All of these plans that we have prepared, there are 7 flagship projects of SEAC under the BBM administration.
Right.
And it's about following the intended master plan for the vision for Subic and Clark.
Yeah.
And even Central Luzon to be the center for transshipment.
Okay.
And that has been
So you have
since in the 1990s.
Yeah, the port in Subic and then the airport in Clark. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
And all the master plans that have been,
Updated, revised, redesigned,
yes, are all intended to make Clark as a center for transshipment, as a logistics hub.
Yeah.
So when we came in, we just went through to what that vision is.
Yeah.
So our tagline now is that we are going to transform Clark as a premier global civil aviation logistics hub of the Philippines.
That's fantastic.
And now when we went to other parts, sharing all our plans, it seems like we should be looking at not just a hub of the Philippines, but hub of the Southeast Asia
The
region.
region. I see. Interesting.
Because we are strategically located.
And what's interesting is your background with BCDA. So I guess where I'm going with this is that are you looking to connect now Clark, which is part of that logistics hub, with the other areas of concern of BCDA, like Pora Point, John Hay? I mean, these other projects that you were involved in. Is there a plan, maybe, or maybe some initial discussions on maybe how to connect all of those gateways and interest points, right?
Yeah. It's the good thing about having an overview of what the
You're not just focused on the airport. You're looking at, as you said, not just the country, but also Southeast Asia, right?
Yeah. If we look back at the infrastructure that have been completed by the BCDA, which the subsidiaries are now enjoying, we have, I can give you one example right away. You look at the Subic-Clark-Tarlac Expressway.
Mm-hmm.
It's a project made by the Basis Conversion and Development Authority.
Yeah.
They entered into a loan, as guaranteed by the national government. BCDA entered into a loan with the Japanese, with JICA.
Mm-hmm.
So they built the longest expressway in the Philippines, which connects the Subic Seaport, the Clark Airport, and Tarlac Industrial Parks. So it's just an example of how the BCDA has planned to connect, to have synergy and convergence of all these former military bases that they are mandated to convert into economic growth centers. So even that expressway, I heard back then that the TIPLEX was the Tarlac Pangasinan La Union Expressway was part of the master plan of the BCDA, and even that expressway is supposed to be connected all the way to Baguio, because we have a special economic zone by the BCDA there, which is John Hay.
Yeah.
So apart from the expressway, it has also undertaken, initiated a major rail, a cargo rail that connects Subic and Clark.
Okay.
So it's a project that has already taken place, because the consultant and the consultant that's going to make the alignments, better, and the design for the rails are going to be efficiently done, has already been contracted by the BCDA. So the good thing about that is that the subsidiaries like CDC, SIAC, John Hay, and Poro Point can focus on building and doing just its responsibilities within the sphere, within the areas or the properties that they are mandated to take care of.
Yeah. So clue us in on like the bigger vision, because is it in terms of why is a logistics hub important? Is it to build a new center for the Philippines? Is it an alternative to Metro Manila, which is already congested, or maybe somewhere in between?
It's about a holistic approach.
Okay.
Ever since, from the very beginning when all the master plans were made, we always take a look at, demographics. You also have to take a look at the geography.
Yeah.
And Central Luzon is really center.
Yeah.
It's center of everything. It's
sort of
the rice granary of the Philippines, and then it's strategically located.
Yeah.
It's very tactical. In a way, that's why the Americans chose
Subic.
Subic and Clark to be there.
Yeah.
It's the great central plains of the Philippines.
Yeah. I'd like to ask you about your projects, but before I do, I just have to make another quick break. Please stay tuned. We're talking to Mr. Ari Perez, the new president and CEO of Clark International Airport. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Business and Politics. We're talking to Mr. Aray Perez of the Clark International Airport Corporation. Let's now go to the projects you have mentioned, because there are 7 important ones that you reported to the board the last time we met. Maybe it should come from you what those are. What I remember, what stood out to me was that road that went directly from the highway to the airport. Maybe you can start there. Why is that important? What's the significance of that?
Yeah. Okay. So I'll couch this in a manner where it's going to be easier to understand.
Sure.
So there are 7 flagship projects, and those 7 projects are divided into 2. There are PPP projects. We have three PPP projects. There are 4 infrastructure projects, which can be funded solely by SEAC and the national government. So I'll first deal with the PPP projects. So there are 3. The first one is the National Food Terminal Project.
Okay.
We all know that the top priority of the president is food sustainability and
food security. Yeah.
Right. So that National Food Terminal Project is envisioned to become a warehousing, a processing of fresh food, commodities that are available in Central Luzon and northern parts of the Philippines. So what we see there is, a farmer's market.
Okay.
Where we could aggregate all the harvests.
Right. Something similar perhaps to FTI before?
Yes. Very similar.
Yeah.
Yeah, very similar. The FTI has already been converted
to land development.
Land development.
Yeah.
And even if they have a remaining portion of that land that they used to own, they cannot expand or convert anymore. Right. And it's not even the highest and best use.
Right.
So it's very perfect that we don't have one.
Yeah,
we don't have one.
Yeah.
And there are many different food aggregation facilities that the Department of Agriculture is setting up elsewhere in the Philippines.
Yeah.
But we don't have that central aggregation of all this produce.
Right.
So the intention for us is to help these farmers, these livestock growers, to be able to have to make themselves more competitive.
Okay.
So that's the real intent.
All right.
But among others, it's also about lessening food spoilage, food spoilage, because the intention of that food terminal is to have warehousing.
Okay.
Yeah, better warehousing and cold chain processing for wet or easily perishable products.
Right.
And another thing that's very important for us is that for us to compete, not just in our different cities in the Philippines, but in Southeast Asia at least, is to have that packaging services.
Right.
Packaging services where we could somehow increase the value of our commodities. Not just simply about, I'm just trying to make it easy to understand, but
sure.
Packaging services means that there's higher quality.
Right.
Higher quality, cleanliness, of the commodities that we have.
Right.
So that food terminal is somehow a showcase of how it should be done.
Okay.
And our farmers, our livestock growers deserve support from the government. It's not an answer to the problems of agriculture or aquaculture in the Philippines.
Okay.
It's just part of the value chain.
Right.
Yet
which is the promise of President Marcos, really to look at the entire value chain of agriculture, right?
And Clark is in a perfect site to have this food terminal.
Right.
You have an airport.
Right.
Which could be your avenue to ship goods because we're islands.
Right.
We can ship it to Visayas, you can ship it to Mindanao, or vice versa.
Right.
And also, if we eventually acquire the skills to, have these commodities immediately packed, fresh, and can be shipped to...
And maybe processed also.
And we could have more exports rather than importing commodities.
Now, when we met months ago, that was an interesting point that you're making, that the passenger targets for the airports are there, but there's an untapped opportunity, which was cargo. Could you, and this is, I suppose, playing into that plan of yours to also take advantage of that opportunity. But for those who understand the economics of airlines, right?
Yeah.
Why is cargo important there?
A plane's biology is that the top is for passengers.
Right.
And
there's a belly there.
Yeah, that's the
empty.
belly is for the cargo, not just for our luggages.
Yeah.
But also a big part of that are,
so if you don't fill that, you don't make money.
you don't make money.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, we're just tapping on the top of the plane.
Right, right.
We don't have enough goods for the airlines to carry.
Right.
So if you look at in Metro Manila or in NAIA, I would say that the airlines are happy because they're not just ferrying
Passenger.
people, but also goods, cargo.
Right.
So that's our deal. That's what we want to serve. Help these airlines to be more competitive.
Right. And so this food terminal also plays into that, as you said.
Yes.
Right.
So that's the first project.
Right.
I've got 6 more projects to explain.
Okay. All right. We only have an hour, but go ahead.
So the second is the entertainment and events hub.
Okay.
What we're trying to do is to make Clark as a destination.
Okay.
It's not just because of we have a very nice airport.
Sure.
An airport that was awarded recently as one of the most beautiful in the world.
Yeah.
Was awarded by Prix Versailles. Now, we also want it to become one of the best in the world. And if we can have attractions and destinations
within Clark.
Within Clark.
Yeah.
And we have, like I said earlier, like I explained, we've got so much real estate.
Sure.
And in front of the new terminal building, we've got a rail station that is being built by the Department of Transportation coming from Manila.
Right.
And that is being built, and hopefully it gets finished by 2026 or 2027. The intention is for that to become a multimodal hub. And we also have plans to put up in the entertainment and events hub an international convention center.
I see.
An airport mall.
Just like Changi, huh? Okay.
Just like Changi.
Yeah.
And an indoor sports arena.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Which is one of your major projects before. So, okay, the food terminal, entertainment, what else is in the pipeline?
The entertainment and events hub becomes a destination for everyone, for Clark.
Okay.
So that we can have more people going there.
Right.
The third one is the Urban Renewal and Heritage Preservation Program.
That's an important one, yeah.
So what we want to do is to showcase ourselves not just a commercially viable place, but also a sustainable and livable place.
Okay.
We're going to have parks and open spaces. We're going to develop a river park. That river park is also going to be a venue for rainwater harvesting.
Yeah. So it's good that you don't want to overdevelop and commit the same mistakes in Metro Manila, right? That you don't have any breathing spaces, green areas. You want to leave that for the environment and for the public, right?
Yeah, that's correct. That's correct. That's very, very correct.
Yeah.
We're going to develop and protect, the parks and open spaces because, we don't want them to be with buildings and structures eventually.
Right, right.
So we've got plans for them and going to implement them right away.
Okay.
And
what are the others? What are the other projects?
it's about, Clark has rich heritage because that is a former airbase.
Mm-hmm.
And
Very historic, yeah.
very, very historic. The Americans built that in 1903. So the anniversary of it's already the 120th anniversary of
The founding
Clark.
of Clark.
The
Wow.
founding of Clark.
Wow.
It's rich in history.
Yeah.
It's rich in culture. So we want to preserve those. There are still many buildings out there and areas where we could, show to the world and even the younger generations to remember what happened in the past so that it becomes a driver for us
Yeah.
to inspire young people about the heroics of the people that put up their lives, sacrifice their lives for our freedom.
Sure.
So let's not forget that. So that's the 3 PPP projects.
Okay.
There's water innovation. There's the National Food Terminal Project for food sustainability and security. The entertainment and events hub for creating destinations. And there are 4 infrastructure projects. The first one is that direct link.
The road, yeah.
Yeah. Our problem going to the airport is that it's kind of hard to get inside
Yeah.
the
You
airport.
don't have a direct exit or entrance to SETEX or TPLEX, right? So
Yeah. So what we're envisioning is to immediately build a direct connection from LX, SETEX
to the airport.
to the airport, the shortest route.
Fantastic.
So that people, every day get confused. There are about
Yeah.
about hundreds of people get confused going to the airport.
Yeah,
So-
for those who are not familiar, you either enter through South Clark or North, but you have to navigate the Clark development, right, before you get to the airport. What you're suggesting is a direct link, right?
Yeah, the agony of going to the airport if you take Clark South,
Yeah.
where you would see the medical city,
Right.
the Clark Medical City.
Right.
It takes you about 15 kilometers to get to the
To
airport.
the airport, yeah.
If you take Clark North, then it's like another 7 kilometers to get to the airport.
Right.
But from LX XCTX, you could see the airport
You could
right
see the
away. It's a
airport already.
huge,
Yeah.
beautiful
Yeah.
terminal building.
Yeah.
But you don't get to the airport right away. It gets confusing.
Yeah.
So we have to build that direct access link.
Is that going to be a project of SEAC itself, or does another government agency have to take care of that, or is it like DPWH, or I don't know, but who's responsible for that?
Well, we're leading it. It's
Okay.
part of our vision. We're
Okay.
going to drive the construction of that access link.
Okay.
But if it takes the DPWH to build that connection, we're going to be happy with that.
Okay.
We'll need the support of the BCDA,
Okay.
the Clark Development Corporation,
Okay.
the DPWH, and the Department of Transportation, because it also that link traverses along the alignments of the railway that goes to the Clark Airport from Manila.
Okay.
So we'll all need their support.
Right.
So, but we will drive this.
Right.
So whoever get this direct access link done, we'll work. We're happy to work with them.
Is there a timetable in your mind when you want to have this done? Or?
Well, it takes about 6 months to design a new, at least 6 months
Right.
to design that link, that new highway or road.
Are there any issues like rights of way or something like that?
Yeah, that's a good thing about it is there's
There's
no
none.
issues.
No issues
There are no
there.
issues of right of way.
So hopefully we can have that before the term of President Marcos ends.
Yes, I guess by my calculations, by my estimates, by 2026 it's already there.
Okay. Now you have 3 more projects that you want to talk about. Before we get to that, we just have to take another quick break. All right. Please stay tuned. You're watching Business and Politics. We're talking to Ray Perez of the Clark International Airport Corporation.
I, Rodrigo Roa Duterte,
Rodrigo Roa Duterte, former President of the Philippines. Former Davao City Mayor. Well-loved Filipino public servant. Talks to the nation once again with its popular public service program, Gigang sa Masa para sa Masa.
I look forward to the resumption of my original program way back, Gigang sa Masa para sa Masa. Great expectation. Everything that is relevant to the lives of the Filipinos, issues that will affect our everyday, whatever, anything under the sun.
Catch it live weekly on SMNI. In the spirit of nation building, only here on SMNI.
Welcome back to Business and Politics. We're talking to Mr. Aray Perez of the Clark International Airport. So you mentioned the road. So you owe me 3 more projects. What are those?
Yeah, so the next one is the upgrading and of existing utilities and road networks.
Okay.
Because if you're going to
Within the civil aviation complex.
within the civil aviation complex.
Yeah.
Because if we're going to have lots of industries, food terminal, entertainment and events hub,
Yeah.
attracting more people, thereby attracting more
Right.
more cars, and
Right.
we have to make sure that we are able to, accommodate. We'll have the
Yeah.
capacity.
You don't want to traffic in Metro Manila in Clark, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
People will need more Wi-Fi, so
Yeah.
we have to be set.
Yeah.
People will need more water,
Yeah.
electricity.
Yeah.
So those things are already envisioned to be done now, so that once we have the influx of these industries that brings commodities, vehicles, and people in Clark, we're prepared,
Okay.
so that we don't get caught red-handed when they're already there. That's the only time we're going to think of them and going to build them. It's going to be
Right.
too late.
Yeah.
It's going to be disruptive.
Yeah. So what's the last 2 projects?
The last 2 projects is coming up with a site development plan for the second runway.
Okay.
The significance of having a
second runway.
second.
Third. Right.
It's a second runway.
Okay.
Yeah, technically it's a second runway.
Okay.
There used to be 2 runways existing, but the other one was decommissioned. It's not a runway anymore, but it's a taxiway.
Taxiway. Okay.
And we're not. That our project is not to build the second runway right away.
Okay.
It's just to come up with the technical specifications of that second runway, so that we
Make
are.
provisions for the second runway.
Yeah, we need to have specific measurements for the second runway. We need to have specific restrictions of developments around the runway,
Yeah.
because the existing, the plan for the second runway has existing locators.
Okay.
And we don't know what kind of developments that can happen if they're affected
Right.
really 100% or
Right.
just partially,
Right.
if we don't have the technical plans.
You don't want to tear down buildings later on when you're ready to build it. Yeah.
And then
Okay.
only to find out that they're safe from, safe from tearing down because the
Yeah.
alignment is not there.
Right. There's the Air Force already using that area also. What's the are they going to remain there? Are they going to move? Or what's the discussion there?
Well, the government, I think, is planning to focus the operations of the Air Force at the Basa Air Base.
Okay.
It's just a nearby
Okay.
military air base
Okay.
beside Clark.
Okay.
So if that happens, then we can move on to developing that huge space that they occupy now.
Also, right.
Yeah.
So with two parallel runways, the significance there is you can have simultaneous takeoffs and landing, right? Is that right? Unlike in Manila where you have crisscrossing runways, you can only use one runway at a time, right?
Yeah, that's very ideal.
Yeah.
But for us to be able to do a parallel landing and takeoff,
Yeah.
is to have that distance of 2.4 at least.
That's what
kilometers.
that's what you're making provisions for.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
If it's lesser, I don't know how lesser it is.
Right.
But then you can't do parallel
Takes off and landing.
take off,
Yeah.
right? And landing.
Yeah.
So we have to determine those things now,
Right. Right.
so that because we don't want to waste time. We
Yeah.
don't want
At least
to.
that's good. You have the foresight, right? So what's the last project?
The last one is something that gives some sense of belongingness and pride for the workforce of SIAC,
Okay.
for the employees of SIAC. If we are going to attract big investors implement huge investments.
You need expertise, right? And
We need expertise
Yeah.
and all. We have to show ourselves that we are capable of being good managers.
Okay.
Not just upskilling,
Yeah.
getting trainings, getting, consultants to
Yeah.
help us in implementing the projects, but also be able to have a space where we can work well. So the last of the 7 flagship projects is the construction of the new headquarters
Okay.
of the CIAC. It's not just a simple headquarters, because we want that structure or facility to become a showcase of our innovation,
Right.
showcase of our plans for the future.
Right.
It's where investors could say, all right, we can see your vision.
Yeah.
Because in the current one that we have right now is we don't have enough space
Yeah.
for meeting many investors at one time.
Yeah.
We don't have enough space to showcase our plans.
Sure.
Because it really helps when people could visualize what we want to do.
Yeah.
So that's the intention.
And to get good talent, I mean, you need people to locate in Clark. I mean, I was thinking about yourself because you had to give up maybe working in BGC, right, where your BCDA office is. You have to give that up to working Clark. I mean, what did it take to convince you to give up the glitzy lifestyle in BGC for Clark?
For one, it's about the challenge of doing something really big and great
Okay.
for the country.
Okay.
And I know that because of the planning that took place, and understanding of all these plans coming from where I used to work in BCDA, there's so much things that we can do for the airport,
Right.
for the civil aviation complex.
Yeah.
So that attracted me well, and of
The
course,
challenge
the
of,
challenge,
yeah.
and also the continuity of the things that I've done in the past, because
Right.
I've been
under a new role as
the
president.
new role, because
Yeah.
I was a big part of building the new terminal
Yeah,
building,
you and Jake were
Yeah.
part of that team, right?
and the
Yeah.
privatization,
Yeah.
and building a new metropolis, the new Clark City.
Sure.
We were part of building the mega complexes for the sports
Right.
during the Southeast Asian Games, and managing them now. So it's still all related.
Yeah. Now, how do you coordinate your plans so that it doesn't interfere with the plans of Clark Development Corporation and LIPAD? Because there's a master plan of LIPAD, there's a master plan of SIAC, and there's also a master plan of CDC. Could you talk about maybe how you guys maybe consult each other, or maybe make sure that you don't build let's say an entertainment complex with something that needs peace and quiet, right, that Clark is building? Can you talk about that? Maybe just the coordination between those 3 bodies, right?
Like any master planners out there, you scan the environment, you
Right.
scan all the available master plans out there.
Yeah.
And there are so many plans for Clark. There's plans for CDC,
Yeah.
the leisure and tourism area. There's plans, like you said, for LIPAD.
Yeah.
There's plans for the new Clark City, and plans for the Clark
Right.
Civil Aviation Complex.
Right.
There's another one, that's the Clark Global City. They also have their own master plans.
Right.
So you incorporate all of the existing plans,
Yeah.
but make sure that they're all aligned.
Right.
BCDA has been talking with the different.
So that's good.
different subsidiaries.
There's dialogue, right?
There's dialogue.
Yeah.
There's dialogue to make sure that the roads are connected well.
Right.
The utilities, whether they're underground or overhead, are going to be able to seamlessly connect with each other.
That's important too. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not like you have a standard gauge and a narrow gauge for a rail.
Yeah.
So we don't want that.
Right.
Just like the pipes for your sewage, the
Right.
pipes for your drainage.
Right.
They should be the same.
Yeah.
They're able to flow. Water can flow well.
Right. Right.
So things like those. So BCD has been keeping in touch, coordinating with its different subsidiaries. Even before I came in SIAC, there were already discussions with the different subsidiaries to align all of these plans.
That's good. Now, I know you said that your grand ambition is really to put the Philippines in the regional map of Southeast Asia through Clark, right? But what about the effort to promote Central Luzon itself? Because that's an integral part of promoting the airport and realizing your bigger vision for Southeast Asia, right? Does Central Luzon have enough to offer, you think, in terms of a destination? You've been living in the area for a while now. What's your observation there? What's your take? Does it have enough to offer?
It has more than enough.
Okay.
More than enough. It's a different kind of lifestyle.
Okay.
It's the place, not just Clark, not just Subic, but the entire Central Luzon provides a better quality of life.
Right.
Because there are many pieces of land that are being managed by corporations like SBMA, SIAC, CDC, BCDA, and others that are integrated together, that creates different options for people having a more livable place.
Right.
And the growth of these places are controlled as well. Because we have what we call a council that guides these different special economic zones in coming up with their own master plans and implementations. So we have what we call a Subic-Clark Alliance Development Council, which aligns all of the plans of the different special economic zones in Bataan, in Zambales, in Pampanga, Tarlac, and other provinces of Central Luzon. So we have those, and we have a regional development council spearheaded, which is a unit of the
It's another layer of planning, right?
a higher level of planning. So we're happy to work with them. There's a lot of many offerings. Central Luzon is very gifted. All in Pampanga alone, it's a smorgasbord of very delicious
the
delicacies. The culinary capital of the Philippines.
Yeah.
You have Subic. You've got all the amenities of Clark, but they have an ocean. They have the
port,
sea.
yeah.
They have the port,
Yeah.
where you can enjoy a lot of water activities.
Yeah. I know you've worked in the sports complex and, as you said, the airport and other projects, but as a relatively new transplant to Clark, was there anything that surprised you in a good way or in a bad way? I mean, what's it like for you, basically a city guy, right? Now living full-time, working full-time in Clark. Was there anything that surprised you?
The warmth of the people really encouraged me to stay.
Okay.
And the many attractions in Central Luzon. I'm a very active guy.
Okay.
I run. I do running. I do cycling.
And you can do that safely in Clark, right?
Yeah, very safe. Very safe.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's my first time to be in Pampanga when I just got in SIAC.
Yeah, because you were involved in many projects.
At the very beginning, in 2018, when we were building the sports complex at the New Clark City, I had to move there because I was part of the project management team.
You had to be on site. Okay.
Yes. And also, at the time, the new terminal building in Clark is being built. So I was also somehow be involved in making sure that they are built up to specs.
Right.
So it was more of like I was pushed to go there. But then I learned to love the place. There's so many things that I can do with my family. It's like lengthening my
lifespan.
My lifespan.
You're not inhaling the smog in Manila, huh?
And I've never really understood the concept of traffic.
How long does it take to go to work in Clark for you now?
It just takes, it's about 10 kilometers from where I live to where I work to the office. It just takes me 10 to 15 minutes.
Fantastic.
Right?
I wish we could say that in Metro Manila, right?
For them, in Pampanga, for people to be stuck in a place for about 2 minutes is already traffic. But in Manila, I guess, for 20 minutes, that's normal.
That's normal.
Right? So then when I embrace that and I've got used to that kind of quality of life, whenever I come to Manila, it's like I dread going back to Manila and staying. I just want to go out immediately.
Yeah.
Because of work, I had the capital and all the national government agencies, which I need to work with, are here. So I have to keep going back and forth. But hopefully in the future, because there's already a plan back then to make Clark as a backup government center
Right.
of the government, and hopefully that could work out. Government agencies should start looking of moving some of its units, at least if
personnel,
not-
yeah.
yeah, it's personnel. Many of the things that we do are not really needed here in the capital. You know, you don't need to be in the capital to do your work.
Right. Well, Aray, very, very ambitious projects, very interesting. We'll be watching it very carefully. I hope you stay much longer than Jake so you can see through these projects. But I want to thank you for your time. But before we go, maybe you want to leave our viewers with a message?
Yes, I'd like to invite everyone to go to Clark because we have a very beautiful airport. We have a very beautiful place. You can enjoy many things. Enjoy food, enjoy an active lifestyle. You can bike, you can safely, you can jog anywhere. You can bring your family. You've got one of the biggest water parks in Southeast Asia or Asia in Clark. There are many things that you can do, not just in Clark, but also in Pampanga, in Subic, in other many places. You can go hiking. There's so many outdoor activities. It's befitting for us at this very competitive age, where we're all technology driven age, where we're all just in our couches, looking at our laptops, our cell phones. We have to bring our kids, our children outside, and us as well, who work hard. There are many activities that we can do, enjoy life out there. We've got very nice infrastructure in Central Luzon. So please do come, travel, use the CRK, the Clark International Airport, enjoy food, go to the sports complexes, the world-class sports complexes. They have weekly activities. You can join duathlons, triathlons, and many other marathons up there. In fact, there's one in December 17, which is the opening of that connection of the Clark to the new Clark City, which they call the airport access road to New Clark City, airport to New Clark City access road. There's going to be a marathon that will take place there. So please visit and see what I'm telling about.
Well, Ray, thank you very much. I think I'll skip the marathon. I'll go straight to the food tour. But I really thank you. I want to thank you for your time. I'd like to thank also our viewers watching this program today and those watching the replay. I'd like to thank Pastor Polo Kibuloy for making this program possible. This has been Business and Politics. I'm Dante Klink, and I will see you next week. Thank you very much.
This is SMNI News Channel. Truth that matters.
Subscribe to SMNI News Channel and turn on the notification bell to keep you up to date. Also visit our official social media accounts and join our community on Viber and Telegram.